Now, it's hard to believe, but the A7 IV has been out for over 3 years now, and it is starting to show its age, but that doesn't mean it's not a great camera still. This is a 33 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. It can shoot raw photos up to 10 frames per second with the mechanical shutter, although there's a bit of a catch to that, which I'll go over later. It can shoot 10-bit 422 video in 4K up to 60 frames per second, again with another caveat, and it has dual SD card slots, with one of the slots being able to be CF Express Type A. Now, with some of those specs, I'm sure you heard me say with a catch, and that's kind of been the disappointment with this camera since it came out. This camera was highly anticipated to be the successor of the A7 III, which jump-started the career of many creators, videographers, photographers, myself included. So when the A7 IV was announced, it seemed like a dream camera until we got those caveats. Hopefully those are fixed with the A7 V, so let's start with the first thing I want to see, which is faster shooting with the mechanical shutter. You may not believe this, but the A7 III is actually faster at shooting than the A7 IV, because although they both shoot raw photos in 10 frames per second, the A7 IV only does that in compressed RAW, whereas the A7 III you could shoot 10 frames per second uncompressed. Now, I know it is 50% larger megapixel wise, so that could have something to do with it, but when you look at other cameras that came out around this time, they were doing way higher frames per second in mechanical shutter, and don't even get me started on electronic shutter, which this also suffers in. I would love to see another 33 megapixel sensor, but this time at least 15 frames per second uncompressed RAW with the mechanical shutter. In my opinion, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to do this. I get that they don't want to cripple their other cameras, but when you look at cameras from Canon and Nikon in the same price range, they absolutely blow this away right now. The second thing I want to see is a faster shutter readout. Any video mode with full frame, the warping jello effect of this camera is terrible. So much so that even when you're vlogging, if you're moving around a little bit, it looks like you're having ibis wobble, even though it's just the sensor readout being too slow. This slow sensor readout eliminates you being able to shoot full frame in most fast-moving environments like fitness, sports, etc. And as someone who's used this very camera on a lot of those kind of shoots, I find myself having to go into APS-C mode, because then you get much better rolling shutter performance. Now, before I go to my third thing, I do want to give some honorable mentions. I would love to see the AI chip that's getting put into all their newer cameras, as well as the new body style from the A7R5. The last thing I think the A7V needs to have is uncropped 4K 60. Now, why am I not saying 6K 24, 6K 30, 6K 60? The reason I'm not mentioning it is because I'm fairly positive the A7V is going to have it. When you look at the other cameras it's going to be competing with, if it doesn't happen, it wouldn't make any sense for Sony to release the camera. But when it comes to the faster frame rate shooting, I think 4K 60 has to be in here uncropped. And if you want to give us 6K 60 in a crop mode, hey, we'll take that. But 4K 60 absolutely needs to be in here, and it needs to be uncropped. No limitations. Let us do 10-bit. Let us have all of our AI autofocusing. Don't put any funny business in there. Just give us 4K 60 in full frame with all of the features of the camera. A lot of what I said isn't a huge leap from the A7 IV. That's because the A7 IV was close to being a perfect camera outside of the weird limitations that Sony put on it. So I think with the A7 V, if they just remove those limitations, improve the performance, and add a couple new features like 6K, the A7 V won't be groundbreaking, but it will be a great selling camera, and I don't think you'll have many people complain. Now, along with rumors of the A7 V, there's also rumors of an A7S IV, and I'm currently recording with the A7S III, and I made a video all about what the A7S IV needs to improve on. So if you want to see more video content like this, subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment down below. What do you think the A7 V needs to be successful? Anyways, that's going to be for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.